3, 2.
Hey, guys, gals, non-binary pals. My name's Andrew Otway, and I am pleased to bring you that D&D. I almost said Roll20 Presents because I've been doing some research, which is to say watching other people do stuff like this. This is that D&D podcast presents Burning the Kingdom of Ash, which is a working title because I don't know too much about this setting yet because that's what we're here to define. So, hi, I'm Andrew. I'll be the dungeon master, burning master, storyteller, person who plays the things that the characters aren't. And the rest of you should introduce yourselves.
Adam, you go first.
Sure. Hi, I'm Adam. I'll be representing the person who knows absolutely nothing about Burning Wheel and will help you all learn with me.
Hi, everybody. Mike J. Darkson Broad here. I'm representing the people who have read the free PDF once or twice and has an idea and is excited to get started.
Zachary?
Hi, I'm Zach. I am going to be representing the people who want to play Burning Wheel for a long time. Hosted it. Literally Burning Wheel for quite a while and are very excited to get started.
Yeah, welcome to Dungeon Wheel.
Burning World.
Yeah.
Well, that could be a thing.
I don't know how well these two systems would hack together. But yeah, this is session 0. So we have a few goals that I've written down for us in Roll20. But a big part of this is sort of defining what we want to see for the next campaign, because this is generally a game that lasts a number of sessions, and we watch the characters change, undergo horrible pain, and generally grow as people, in whatever shape that takes. But if we want to make people who fit into the world, first we have to know what the world is like, so we have to sort of define the status quo. So yeah, step 1 I've got for us right now is define the status quo and solidify the setting. We've done a bit of work on this behind the scenes, and we want to set this. Excuse me. We want to set this in the same universe, and in fact the same sort of nation as our recently wrapped up 5th edition campaign. Which is the Kingdom of Ash and Rot, I believe we called it. Mike?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to confirm.
Ash in the north, Rot in the south.
And so, I mean, there's a few things that we know about that world. It's not just human species, races, cultures. But because the 4 of us are all new to playing Burning Wheel, let's limit the life paths and like the traits and stats and whatnot to just the human ones. If you want to play a dwarfy-ass dwarf in like 10 sessions, we can talk.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that. Like, I actually don't at all, and I probably don't actually want to use like spell casting specifically. Like, I want to get like a toehold in the actual rules before I go like play my weird ass elf person or whatever.
Well, and like part of the rules, like each of the species have their own like special thing. So humans get faith, elves get grief, dwarves get greed, and orcs get spite. But faith was a big component of what we played in 5th ed. So, I mean, I think it makes sense that sort of the various and sundry D&D species all have faith on some... Like, they don't all necessarily have faith, but they have the capacity to have faith, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. I blank on the name of our dwarf that was played by Jordan, but her husband definitely had faith on some level, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow, that... Vashla. Jesus, that was...
Vashla, there you go.
I kept trying to say Vetra. I was like, no, that's Tooth Lady. Not Tooth.
That is the character's name we'll never forget. Is Vetra. Vetra will never leave the brain.
Vetra next my Turian girlfriend.
It's also true.
I'm not wearing the Andromeda hoodie right now, but it's right there, so I could go get it.
It's in the shot.
Yeah.
We're still under contract. It's fine.
Ever present.
God. So I mean, is there?
Keep my Andromeda hoodie nearby.
So I mean, do we have like a specific part of the kingdom that we want to investigate? Is there anything that we want to see, and is there anything? I don't know how well Burning Wheel does like the adventuring thing, or similar. Like you can do like sort of an aligned group all working towards something, which is another consideration as well. Is like, what do we want sort of the central conflict or the themes of the game to be? Because we've got the Kingdom of Ash. So is there a part of it that particularly intrigues anyone, or is there a sort of a thing that, like, do we all want to be working towards the same overarching big goal? Is everybody sort of in it for themselves in their own, like, do we have a preference there around the table?
I've got a pitch, unless people have thought of things.
Pitch it.
Yeah, let's hear the pitch. Yeah.
So one of the things that I'd kind of had like the Holy Roman Empire in my head for what this thing looks like, and the HRE historically was very did not advance well with the times, and it kind of got real stolid, and like the concept of the emperor largely became a figurehead, and the local governors, princes in this case, got more and more power, and eventually Napoleon came around and just pushed the whole thing over because it was not really in any shape for the last 100 years and 300 years. And so I kind of like the idea of, because like this foundation of the kingdom of the empire of Ash was real strong, right? We've got this figurehead and they're super magnificent and stuff, and we survived this horrific event. And then over time, it's just stagnated and it's kind of fallen apart. And like some real, like, pardon the Elder Scrolls reference, right? But it's just the same sort of concept where we've got this big imperial figurehead, and they're only as strong as people have loyalty to them. And maybe it's a group of people that are loyal to the emperor, or maybe it's a group of people that are loyal to the princes and they're pushing it. Maybe they're French agents, the equivalent thereof. But like having a setting in this kind of failing empire sounds neat.
So one of the things, once we've established the status quo, is setting it on fire and kicking it down a hill, is how I like to think of it. Because what good, like, how better to engender drama than a status quo that is rapidly shifting? So it's we've got a status quo of this kingdom. I kind of want a single large inciting incident, but maybe it is like something smaller. Maybe it is just like the rot finally festering in this empire that has created the opportunity that sort of all of your characters are going to be working to turn to their advantage or resolve some other thing. Like
it could be like literally Napoleon could attack, right?
Yeah.
Or like maybe they're always worried about the rot and not worried about external influences. And hey, the world's caught up to your gunpowder and lightning bolts.
Well, I mean, when we left the Southern Kingdom, like, the Inquisition was an open rebellion.
Yeah.
Do we know if we want to set this in the north or the south? Like, or do we want like sort of urban or rural? If anyone has any preferences, because this game can do court intrigue and it can do I don't have enough food to survive this winter.
I mean, like if we wanted to forge some new ground, I think that north is a great place to start.
Okay, cool.
People who are not in the left-hand side of the screen. Do you have thoughts?
Well, I'm diagonal here, so
So my opinion is invalid. I mean, I think. I mean, I could play just about anything, and I'll figure out. I have ideas for what I could do anywhere. Sort of, would a sort of outlying, particularly isolated principality that's staring down the barrel of getting steamrolled be an interesting place to, or just got steamrolled at the end of this? Be an interesting place to set that then?
Like kind of like Sicily, the island, sort of
Yeah, maybe.
analog, like an island fortress city state outlying region that has been invaded as a foothold, or
Or is currently besieged or something.
or
You
just
can get,
spies are investigating, prodding for
Yeah.
weaknesses. Yeah.
yeah. Because that would let us do that without getting too much into like the core chunky politics of the empire, and let us make this more small scale and like about messed up personal ambitions rather than like protecting the empire. Because they take Sicily. I mean, it's whatever.
Sorry, I'm just making a note of the phrase "messed up personal ambitions."
One of my ideas was just a priest that carried around a bag of fingers.
You gotta hand it to him.
But just once. After that, it gets real hard to hand him anything.
No, just a bag of holy fingers, ready to turn into barbarians.
Yeah,
Oh,
those are all like relics. Oh, from years past, right?
he's like a Pokemon trainer in the Kingdom of Ash.
A little bit, yeah.
Ragnar,
That
I
was the
choose
goal,
you.
right?
Yeah. Oh no.
Like a guy, a priest that is watching his empire, like the empire and the imperial cult that he serves, like fall to Ash or like this outside force. And just like, I have a bag of barbarians.
It's like the
What can I
9
do with
demon
this bag
bag.
of barbarians?
This is just 15 fucking barbarians in this sack.
Okay.
It was good timing, I have to say.
I think I have. I mean, if this falls through, I think I have a pitch for a Fate campaign.
so I don't really have much in mind for setting. But the only thing that popped in my head when we first started talking about this was something. Once again, going with sort of the isolated city concept, but a city that managed to survive a lot of the initial downfall. Whether they exploit the regions around them, sort of like what's the
Lorca.
Blackhand Jade?
Oh
No, I'm thinking of the popular Katniss book series, whatever.
Oh, Hunger
Oh.
Games. District
Yeah,
12.
Hunger Games. So yeah, so the fact that they survive by exploiting the areas around them, or somehow they've maintained a higher quality of life in the city on the backs of people around them, but it's somewhat like small scale local.
I
But
think
then
one of
maybe
my.
that's starting to.
Go ahead.
It's starting to fail.
One of my original pitches was Lorca after the D&D group left, and like all of those survivals from the house on the hill arrived, and it's like, great, we didn't have enough food before, and now we have more mouths to feed.
Yeah, that one could
think-
be interesting too.
Well,
yeah, I
and
think
we
I just
can
want it to be.
do that in the north.
Yeah, I just want them to
Yeah.
be better off as a starting point, so they have further to fall. Because
Yeah.
Lorca was already screwed.
We've already screwed Lorca. We should screw someplace else.
Yeah. We destroy a city per campaign. That's how this works. Eventually.
I mean,
That's oddly accurate
I've
for that D&D podcast.
yeah,
I think this would up our game a little bit. We've
Okay,
gotten one city destroyed.
so 4E campaign. This is going to be a bunch of deep cuts. 4E campaign Axis. We wiped that shit off the face of the planet.
Yeah.
The dungeon roll campaign that followed it, we blew up First Conquest.
Mm-hmm.
What was next? Was that
I mean,
more
we've-
Dungeon World?
We've destroyed.
Orlando.
We dropped the swamp in the south
Yeah.
had problems. We dropped a sky bomb on Algonquin Falls, the
Yep.
park, in order to.
We wiped off a
overperformed
section of the
superhero
map in.
campaign.
Yeah, I'd say we wiped off a section of the map in North Korea or wherever that was.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was most of the peninsula.
Yeah, that was a good chunk of it.
You guys ended it before it could happen, but Concordat was going to get eaten by demons, so that's over now.
Yeah, we kind of did set that one up for moose demons, didn't we? Gastown
Yeah,
is still
no,
standing.
Not the church.
The
We
number
got-
of Batmen that were destroyed in Blades in Gastown.
Yeah. I also don't know how much longer Duskwall's got in it in candles, honestly.
Candles, yeah.
Yeah, no, we have a pattern. We've established a pattern.
That was that was holy shit. That was serendipitous.
I'm going to blame Neverwinter Nights for starting that pattern for us.
Not the ending of Neverwinter Nights 2, which was rocks fall and most things die.
Literally.
I like that game, but
Me too.
in spite of itself.
Bishop was fun.
Cool. Hey, camera, fine, whatever. Just gonna make a note by episode 20. The city is gone. Probably.
You did exceed Andrew's expectations.
I mean, I've watched, as I mentioned earlier, I've watched Roll20 play this, and I think they had their kingdom make a resources test at one point.
Wow.
Which,
Cool.
so basically, every so often in Burning Wheel, you have to like pay for all the shit you own because tax collectors come by, and we abstract that away with a resources test. So if you have no property, then cool, you don't have to pay any taxes. But if you have like a villa, then you have to see how well you're making do. And that was just extrapolated out to a kingdom trying to survive a winter.
Oof.
Okay, so somewhat urban, surrounded by farms, that there's some animosity probably going both ways in that relationship, it sounds like, Adam?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's straight serfdom, right?
Yeah.
So, and like the kingdom really hasn't advanced that much, but like the French Revolution is dawning,
Yeah.
right? Like one country over, things are already getting better for the peasants, and like most other places, like in the east and the west, and like these places are getting over serfdom and feudalism, and like this we still are in. It's not quite old school European feudalism in the HRA, or it never was, but it was more you paid taxes and you lived here, and it was still feudal.
My sort of mental imagining of the Kingdom of Ash, at least, well, the two parts of it were they were sort of two geographical territories that were unto themselves islands. Are they like? Is it waterlocked? Like, is the whole nation bordered by water, or is there like a land border that it shares with anything?
No, I was thinking of it like Western Europe.
Okay.
Yeah, like I was trying to find like better maps and generate them and all that stuff, and I just wound up chopping off the
Stealing
north.
Spain and
Yeah, Spain, France, and Denmark through Italy to Poland.
okay. So there are vectors for invasion.
Yeah.
many land borders. Okay. So are we thinking then not border island, but maybe just like one of the sort of bordering provinces?
Well, I mean, it could literally be like Sicily, right? It could be an island that borders both the northern and southern kingdoms. That's kind of in the center of all these different places, right? It's not super far from whatever southern continent we decide is going to be there.
I just
It's not
don't know
super far
if like Sicily as an island is going to be large enough to easily facilitate the like
Oh.
urban rural drama. If it's an island like the size of like Newfoundland, then yeah.
Yeah. I mean, or it could be like all of Switzerland, right?
Yeah. Oh,
An
like
island
up in the mountains.
Right.
Like it's not an
island
island, but it's
conceptual,
isolated. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, where the city itself sits in a pass somewhere. A very important pass through for trade routes and
Well, yeah.
invading armies and whatever. Yeah.
Well, and like that sort of explains why there's some animosity and there's some scarcity that has demanded resources in the urban center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can't grow your own food in a rocked out valley.
Or like what food you can isn't enough to like sustain a city, right? Like I mean, the major city probably has around 100,000 people in it, if not more. Like there's a good population there, but it's not like burgeoning. It's not Paris or Moscow or something, but it's not small either.
Sounds good.
I feel like they should have control of some sort of unique resource to the area as well.
Okay.
Something that helped them originally establish their dominance. Or a technology that was once, like they had bronze before everyone else in the area or something.
I think it's
They rely
saltpeter.
heavily on it. Had an extensive cave network where bats really liked it.
I'm thinking like saltpeter or something, right? Because the Kingdom of Ash was the first to have guns.
Yeah.
And so like yeah, this is how we made more guns and kept them supplied. Maybe it's not maybe this is one of the first few fortresses that had cannons or something.
Oh.
Like larger than one person guns.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like relic cannons on the walls over the pass.
Oh, and these things are like covered in 40K like scripture and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've got like special like religious whisperers for like the gun handlers that they bring out the holy powder and they tamp it into to earth shaker and the burden of sin is the name of the cannon.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Oh.
Well, and like judgment and like sinner's perdition and yeah. The Emperor's forgiveness. Yeah. Which is also like original cannons, cool, but they're heavy. They don't turn super, like they don't have a great arc. And things like, I mean, sappers exist and can bring down a wall. There's a reason grenadier is a root French word. Like,
yeah.
Okay, so having like access to saltpeter mines is also a good reason for antagonists to target this area.
It's also a really good reason that the central forces of the Empire might give a crap about us.
Yeah.
Too. Like, for us to become contested ground, this is a pretty good reason.
Well, and I mean, maybe foreign adversaries with sappers and grenades would stand a better chance of capturing your fort than your own forces would.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if we lose this, we might not be taking it back.
Okay.
How much of a foothold does the Inquisition have here? Because I think they're definitely an easy set of antagonists, or I mean, an easy set of player characters to insert themselves into as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, in the north, they'd be a little different, right?
Yeah. Well, like, are they an open rebellion in the north?
I don't know.
Also, if this is set on a trade route, like it's set in a trade route on a like in a border city, it's going to be fairly metropolitan.
Yeah. Like, I don't know that you... I don't know that there's a whole lot of foothold for a zealous, like an anti-religious or anti-religion organization like an Inquisition, or like the Inquisition we established. Like, maybe there is something that calls itself an Inquisition that's something else. That's like the Emperor's spies.
Oh, okay.
Like a secret police that's quietly watching and will report back when things start getting bad.
Yeah, like some kind of sworn lawful protectors of the current status quo. And they'd have like armor and legal protection from the laws, and they'd be able to demand things of minor lords and ladies of the realm. Maybe they'd have like mounts and lances. They could be knights of some kind.
You're right. I totally missed that. Yeah, that would probably be the Ashwarden's role, I guess.
Yeah. How broad and far-reaching is the cult of Saint Rona?
That's a good question. I feel like we've, depending on when this is in the time frame, I think that would vary widely. I think anytime past like the old days, probably fairly limited.
Okay.
Like at some point they fell out of favor, right?
Yeah. I think
It
this
might be
is...
that there's like, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I mean, it might be that there's like holdouts in the far edges of the empire, and like there's still people who venerate that stuff, but it's not widespread at all.
Just gonna quickly Google what elevation do ash trees grow at. Because I mean, like that is how high they grow. That's not.
Yeah.
Thanks, Google.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was what you were going for, actually.
No, because like if you're up in the mountains or otherwise isolated, right? Like it's like I can imagine like some old mountain witch shaman who is just way into Rona, and like maybe she doesn't actually have a lick of like art magic or whatever in her. But that doesn't stop her from like knowing to combine these herbs into like a poultice that, compels the dead to speak or something.
Yeah.
Is there like do you want them to be like the champions of the downtrodden sort of thing, or like if you give like the forest witch, right, the hermit concept of the like knowledge of the knights that were, or knights that are, depending on how you want to play that, right? Like that definitely paints a picture of like low key helping people.
I mean, I think it all depends. Like, she's probably more aligned with the people who are rural and remote to the city than the people in the city.
Yeah, that's what I guess as well. She's probably part of the of the village or outcast circles rather than someone. Although, I mean, it might be that like because she's an official church functionary, like they have
Or if she
to, and
is, yeah.
they hate the fact that they have to like take time away from chanting at cannons to go like bring food to this crazy mountain witch person.
But the crazy mountain witch, who knows the kinds of beans that like stop the rot.
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't that's something that necessarily happens a lot, but is enough that like, yeah, we should keep that person around.
Yeah.
And she's the only one that knows, so they have to take care of her. Like she has that leverage because none of them have. Either they're not here very long, like they do short tours back and forth, or just none of them ever put in the time to actually learn the like heathenistic methods that she uses.
Yeah.
I love how this character is now like just fleshed out enough to like hang a campaign hook on it. Like she never takes an apprentice, even though the village sends her one every year. This year she accepts.
Yeah.
Right. And there's your hook.
She systematically chases off literally every potential apprentice by making them do just crazy shit. Right? The stories that every single priest in town has a story about this person. Right? And like half the noble court does too, because they tried pushing them off on her.
Yeah. How much of a noble presence is there? Or like what's the power structure here?
I mean, we're talking about like a county, right? And
I mean, is there a larger city that this one, pays taxes to or something? Or is this the seat of local government, like, or regional government?
yeah, making it the seat of the duchy would be pretty significant, right? And also, if it's the most,
like,
what's that?
it's pronounced Dookie. Like,
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh man, yes, Dookie is funnier. But yeah, I mean that'd be more interesting, right? You put the princes.
I mean, I honestly see there's drama in either.
yeah. Either we have to answer to like either this place has to like directly answer to somebody nearby who can actually exert power, or we're on our own when this shit happens. There's two possibilities.
I like the we're on our own better.
Okay.
Yeah, let's make it the seat of the county as opposed to the duchy.
And maybe we're just literally far enough away, or maybe if we're actually that important a source of like resources, maybe we're like some sort of special cutout.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like a full-on Duke situation, but like we're keeping our eye on you. You're way too far away to constantly monitor, but don't get any ideas.
Well,
But that will also piss off all the other dukes nearby, right?
a special administrative zone, but yeah, it's...
Yeah.
Is the change that you were recently carved out?
Oh.
Or has it been that way for a while?
I think
no,
I kind of feel like everyone.
Sorry.
Adam, go
No,
first.
please go first.
No, I would say this would be like a long-standing source of pride for the people, or at least the nobles that rule the place. That we're special enough, we're better than everyone else. We deserve our own recognition.
Yeah. We have like our standards have like chunks of sulfur and saltpeter on them. Like it's that important.
Yeah. It's like the circle of life. We've got saltpeter and charcoal in one, and then it goes to gunpowder, and then it goes to cannons, and it goes to skulls and crossbones, which goes to saltpeter.
Good. Yep. Okay. That's okay. I like a lot of this. I like all of this, honestly. But okay, so we've got a special autonomous zone, seat of county authority. There's definitely an Ash Warden's presence. I think like there might be some like maybe this is where new smiths are taught, or there's some amount of that, like a smith's academy, just to go with all the cannoneers and whatnot.
Yeah. Forged in the valley.
I want to say that it's past its prime too.
Like the academy is.
Yes, the academy used to be like a place where all the the smiths used to had to go in order to be recognized as quality of someone who's like, capable of producing a proper flintlock rifle. But then maybe there was a rival college somewhere else that they started teaching like magazines or repeaters, whatever those, something just like that next level technology that they couldn't keep up with, but we refused to acknowledge them. That heresy was not to be accepted at our local alma mater or whatever.
Haven't figured out rifled barrels yet.
Right.
Yeah, that's
The
it.
Crucible's rifling, right? Because cannons are all smoothbore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's actually the town that we used to live in before we moved here. They were an old iron town in the middle of Pennsylvania, and then they didn't switch to steel because it was a fad.
Oh no.
And so, like, all of their shit is like Iron Street. The high school football team is the Iron Men. Like, they have the Iron Festival every year. They're so proud of the fact that like they didn't jump on the steel fad. Like, that's
too
this
bad.
place, right?
I don't know how to process this information fully.
Sadness.
Like whatever this place is called, like if they had a sports team in like 200 years, they'd be the whatever smoothbores.
Mm-hmm.
That
No,
sounds like
yeah.
a vulgar phrase.
It really
Yeah,
does.
It really does. Yeah. Does that mean there is no? Is that why we're going to get taken over? Because there's a single rifled barrel in the entire place?
There probably is, but it probably comes from the outside, right? Like it's cosmopolitan, so people from the east are bringing in nicer weapons and shit like that. And the academy here is still all like, here's how you make it a great stationary cannon.
Yeah.
And the people are like, yo, this gun fires twice as far, and it's just a
And straighter
arquebus.
and more
Yeah.
accurate. Yeah.
considered not.
Well, like
Right.
it has a 15-degree firing arc that we can rotate it in.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
when
in
you
accuracy,
rifle-
it counts for another 10 degrees.
when you rifle the barrel, you lose a bunch of energy to the spin, and we just decided that wasn't worth it as a design.
So the solution is more cannons. No, it's not aiming.
Yeah.
More guns.
Yeah.
More guns is the solution.
If we have to turn our gun, something has gone horribly wrong.
Right. This is a valley. There's one way that they come in.
I just imagine that literally like every gun in the place is loaded with like shot of some form, just like as a matter of pride, like we don't have to give up this shit. Smoothbore still works. This is how we do it.
Well, and
Like they got like finned flechettes or flechettes or whatever. Like they have like weird technology to get around the fact that they won't build rifled guns.
I also really like the idea that it's in a valley because, like, it brings to mind, like, maybe the first things that you can see. You know you're getting close to this town because you can just see, like, the top 10 meters of, like, the drop towers for forging cannonballs.
Yeah.
It's how you get them perfectly round. You get your iron or whatever molten at the top of a tower and drop it into some water.
Okay. I'm sure that won't come back up later.
I
That and you can see the cannons mounted on the mountains behind you, right? Like
yeah.
Oh,
What I
that's-
really
that's welcome.
yeah, what I really want the like first view of the city from the thing is like as though it's hiding behind something with its cannons above, right?
It's very mech warrior. What's this? Here are guns. Where are you hiding?
Hiding. Do you know how much it hurts to get shot? God.
When the entire city stands up on two legs and start walking out of the valley, then we know he's succeeded.
It's fucking Baba Yetu, this shit.
Like yeah, do we have like is there like some giant mech warrior relic?
Getting
That's-
the city to animate itself as a giant mech warrior mech is an Ob 10 faith test.
But we can do it.
Yeah.
There's probably some sort of ancient turtle that legend has buried itself in this valley, and we built the city on its bones.
And
on its
sure.
shell.
A gun turtle.
A Turin. See the turtle of enormous girth. On his shell he holds the earth. His thought is slow but always kind. He holds us all within his mind. Good times. All right. We got a lot of stuff. Do
Yeah.
we need to set on fire, or are we still solidifying things?
I mean, this
I
seems like
already
a
totally know what I want to play.
okay. This seems like it's a good starting point for us. And one of the nice things about the game is there are certain skills that are called wises, which is like if you're books wise, you are wise about books. Doesn't necessarily mean you know how to read, because that's a different skill, but like you can speak with
Is that skill readwise?
It's just read.
Just read. Yeah.
Readwise is funnier.
It is. Well, but readwise would be stuff about reading.
Yep.
And like wises are arbitrary. You can make any you can be whatever, like noun here wise.
Smoothmore wise.
Yeah. Any Smith that has spent any time training in this city is probably smoothbore wise. And like if you're gun wise, that means you can tell different guns apart from each other, but you might not have any idea how to fire them. Or like Gary Gygax was definitely pole arms wise, because there's way too many kinds of pole arms in D&D. Don't at me.
Add him so hard. He knows such that. That's all he adds.
Tell me about the Lucerne hammer.
Add.
But I completely forgot. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. I have been entirely diverted by the Gary Gygax line of thing.
Wise. Non-wise.
Yeah, I forget where I was going with wises. I remember I was talking about them, and I had a point in mind originally. And I'm going to watch this video back in like 3 hours and be like, Andrew, you dumb son of a bitch. But
Have yourself an Earl Grey tea donut. I think that fixes everything.
it comes pretty goddamn close.
Right.
So, Mike, are you still thinking about a cultist?
In a manner of speaking.
Okay.
All religion is a cult in some manner of speaking.
Pretty true.
No, I was thinking it'd be cool to be like the prince's agent in the city.
Okay.
And like born noble, required to go through not seminary school, but because this point with the what is the word when you char people, or life paths, right?
Yeah.
Like, you get born noble and spend some time in the church and then become a soldier, and then like that's a 17-year-old ready to be put to use.
Yeah. Depending on, I'm thinking like 3 or 4 life paths is probably a good spot to be at.
Yeah.
Do we know how we want to set this on fire? Like, yeah.
Like I think it's occupied.
Okay. Is it occupied by the Duke from, one province over? Or is it occupied by an external force?
I kind of like the idea that someone higher up finally decided that us having our independence was too much of a hassle, and they're coming to assimilate everything.
Like a rival duke making a bid on the princedom by taking over this duchy, or county, whatever it is, whatever we decided it was called, is neat, because then it puts us like if we're in an occupied situation where people are like where our occupiers are not friendly, then we get to there's all sorts of interesting choices there. Like, well, if there's a are we loyal to the prince who might free us, or are we loyal, or do we want to declare loyalty to the French or whatever who might come liberate us?
Absolutely, there is a foreign power that is going to try to make a bid
Right.
for this little valley.
So being occupied by a domestic antagonist feels very Dragon Age as well, which means it's good.
Yeah. So what are things that are true for people in the valley? Like, what are the sort of common cultural traits? Like, if someone... So, like, the cultural traits for, like, the stereotypical Canadian are, like, polite, doesn't mind the cold, and, I don't know, pronounces oot funny. And so, like, what are sort of like the three high-level things that are not necessarily true for everybody in the valley, but...
And this is the totality. This is the city plus the surrounding.
I'm thinking, yeah, it's the like, if you're from the valley, this is what people assume you're going to be like. And like the city, I mean, maybe it is just the city, and maybe the rural areas are different too.
I kind of feel like I'm not sure what the right word is for it, but the isolationist aspect of wanting to be our own, like governance. But the more extreme version of that, I'm trying to think of the right word, but
like it's independent, like
but
it's
in the negative context.
Yeah.
Like we're better than everyone else. Why would we want to mingle with other?
okay.
Like an iconoclasty about our own.
Is it isolationist?
Isolation was the first word that came to mind, but I don't know if that captures everything I'm.
Yeah,
But hey,
it's
maybe it works.
isolationists would be like, we don't want to deal with anybody else either, right? Like,
That's the best thing I could reasons why we're not keeping up with the Joneses. Why we don't want to adopt their technology that they came up with that wasn't from our school originally.
Well, like prideful to a fault.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make all three of our traits all completely negative, but hey, it works.
I mean,
I mean,
they can all, well, if they get you in trouble, you get narrative currency for it.
it's true.
So that's not a bad thing. And then the other thing, so one of my jobs is to basically put, so characters in Burning Wheel have beliefs, instincts, and traits, otherwise known as your bits. And beliefs are things that you plan to get done in the short term. Working towards a belief gives you some narrative currency at the end of the session, and accomplishing a belief gets you better narrative currency, basically. And it's sort of my job to put your beliefs either at odds with the beliefs of another player, put your beliefs at odds with your instincts, or to put your beliefs at odds with your traits. And thereby create drama, because like these two things are true about your character, which one is going to give is interesting drama. So I mean, if it's not like isolationist, is it just like the combination of pride and independence?
there's totally a word for that, and I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, there is absolutely a word for it, and we're not thinking of it because we're put on the spot.
Yeah.
I mean, like xenophobic comes to mind, but that's not
Yeah.
quite the right word either. We can just go with
Yeah.
something older.
Yeah, I think we all know what we're talking about too. We'll just, or some version of what we're talking about, right? So we can always circle back around if this catches back up to us.
Mm-hmm. And
Chat has suggested proud rather than isolationist and misplaced pride.
yeah, I've got prideful. So the two that I've got written down right now are prideful and either libertine or independent.
Hmm. libertine. But aren't we also like sort of hidebound?
Yeah.
Like libertine and hidebound? Like,
Or just traditional or something.
yeah, traditionalist.
It's almost like you hit a limit and then became Luddites, honestly.
Yeah, that's the way it sounds. Yeah. Like something, at some point we stopped, we
Advancing.
consciously almost stopped advancing.
But I mean, also a dichotomy in like how you're perceived isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like, again, to use the Canadian example, like recently Canadians have been demonstrated to be polite, but also like tenacious or like scrappy, honestly.
Okay.
So I mean, putting things at odds, like identity can be complicated, especially when it applies to something as broad as like a culture.
Okay, yeah. I like it. I like it as at the very least, as a spot to move forward from.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is we can firm these up in between, or as we just move. Generally speaking, we're probably not going to get everything right the first time. We're all new to this game.
Yep.
How about the occupiers?
Like for them, I might go xenophobic.
Okay.
Well, we're the Holy Roman Empire, right? Like, what if we like? Are these like the elves that are whatever analog sleeping in behind us?
Well, I mean, like if they're a separate province, like well, I mean, what else is true about this province? If they're xenophobic, like are they majority like the human D&D species?
Are they if they're xenophobic, are they notably different than us, obviously and physically
Yeah.
from the outside, basically?
Well, if this town is largely cosmopolitan, because it's on a trade route, and we know that there's lots of anger, right, directed towards it, then there should be a reason for the occupiers to create a situation in which we want somebody to come liberate us. So they should be mean and nasty, and they should be taking away freedoms that we previously took for granted. And
I wonder if in this city there was this concept of being a citizen, where if you wanted to avail yourself of any of the perks of that trade, like if you, in order to be like a trader in town, you had to be born by blood of a citizen or something like that, where there's this status that outsiders can't obtain. So the only way that this other province could obtain it was by force.
Okay.
We were hoarding the benefits of the trade of the city. Like other traders could come in, but they couldn't, own a storefront on the main thoroughfare or something because they're not a citizen.
Or they paid higher rates of taxes or whatever.
Yeah. But they're perpetual outsiders no matter what.
good. Yes.
Now the question there is, did that open up the same opportunities for people in the city that weren't allowed to do so by blood? Like, can I play a tinker that's like opening up his first stall on the main thoroughfare because now I can, and this occupation is actually pretty cool, you guys?
That gives us less reason to choose a side.
It gives us a lot of different reasons to choose different sides.
Yeah.
I think is the difference there. And I'm not saying that has to be the case. I'm just saying that could be an interesting angle if we wanted to pursue it.
I think the situation might have flipped in the sense that the occupiers have then opened, so like you said, like literally opened the floodgates to owning property in there. But now there's this large antagonistic, people that are going to these shops. They go to the shops that they were formerly owned by citizens, or there could be like your shop is the windows are all broken at night by loyalists to the city or something.
Just gonna quickly delete libertine from the local cultural traits.
Yeah, seriously. Unruly.
I mean,
So-
violent at this point, right?
I mean, the prideful still fits though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're building a city surrounded by cannons. I think violent isn't necessarily wrong.
Correct. Yeah.
Our gates aren't thrown wide.
So prideful, violent traditionalist is what I've got down now.
Yeah, you guys, that's some adjectives. All right, let's think about that for a second.
That's
Think
a
about
unit
which
of
side we're taking.
that's a unit of texture.
I mean, it's your side. I mean,
Is
it
it
doesn't
though?
matter.
I mean, it doesn't. You all don't need to be playing locals in power.
Isn't that side? No.
I mean, look at the people we normally play.
It's
Okay,
true.
that's meta, Adam.
I mean,
It's very rarely my fault.
I was gonna play a rebel with explosives anyway, so it's fine.
okay. Hey, I've got a profile picture you can use because I've used it literally 4 times for D&D things.
The
The person
red guy?
throwing the throwing the Molotov over their shoulder. So the occupiers are xenophobic, but like maybe it's less xenophobic and it's not much better, but it's nationalistic. Like they're okay with like Kingdom of Ash types being in this city, but not so much like the foreign element. No France
They might-
analog or
They're also, they're perceiving it as a slight that we are not joining we're not falling in line with the emperor.
Mhm.
So it's a slight on the whole country. So why not just kick them and force them to toe the line?
So what else is true about these occupiers? They're nationalistic. I mean, if they're opening up more people to own property or have access to the best shops, like
Yeah, I mean that is a liberalizing influence, right? Like that's
But maybe they're also, on the back end, they're also lining their pockets all over this new opportunity. You have this great new opportunity, but you're coming in with a 40% tariff.
Right, the
yeah.
tax rate's way higher.
yeah.
So corruption.
I just wrote
Correct.
capitalist.
Yeah, no, like these people are now starting to sound to me like the British Empire in a lot of
Also a
ways.
synonym for capitalist. Corruption.
Yeah. Like they are it's almost specifically like a colonialist capitalist. Let's go in and make them and create a system by which the natives will pay us to be there.
We call it a trading company.
Some kind of what's the name of this valley? The Hudson's Valley Trading Company. Yes.
Yeah, or just a Valiant trading company.
God damn it. You fucker.
No problem.
Well played. So these nationalistic capitalists roll into town.
With their top hats and monocles.
My word, I say.
And their fancy repeating revolvers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, volcanic on their hip.
Phew. This game gets into some shit.
Yeah. But like, we're all of our games, well, most of our games won't start off as like we'll make a nice jaunty little game about superheroes and end with, oh, it's just commentary. Awesome.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But I enjoy that.
We only do genre commentary here on that D&D podcast. The only
commentary podcast. Tune in Thursday for.
Okay. Yeah, and they like internally like they view themselves as being a meritocracy on some level, including like uplifting the local peoples, right?
Oh yeah, no, you already said British Empire. We take that whole thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We just
They're
use that
just taking
entire
it and
concept.
dropping it in,
Right.
right?
So I was spitballing a concept where the British Isles were ruled by a lich. They're just, and so I was like, oh, these are just like, they're all undead. They've just come to take over this. And their meritocracy is, yes, well, we're happy to kill you and have you join our ranks of the undead forever. But I'm not seriously pitching that here, but it was just...
As a
should do that.
person
I mean,
whose
we're
government
free.
officially rules up to the Queen of England, comma, dead silence.
No, I mean that could totally work. Like that could be why the guns didn't work, right? Like
I think the concept behind that doesn't seem to work overall for me very well.
Okay,
If we were
okay.
originally, I mean, we're not like completely isolated from this whole area. Like if everybody around you is undead,
Yeah.
but you're not, that poses some questions.
I have answers for that. We don't have to get into that for this game, but we should talk about this later.
well, okay. Well, what if we don't actually see those people very often, right? What if we only
Or a
see
trading
their
post.
emissaries or their armies?
Well, I mean, like, maybe this helps us flesh out the last occupier cultural trait. But how was the invasion one? Like, was it a Trojan horse? Hey, we're just marching through to do some surprise to your city czars? Or did they come and knock down a wall? Because I think that informs at least the texture of, like, the average person that y'all will be interacting with or being, because you're probably some kind of, like... Or, I mean, how old is the occupation as well? Like have they brought their own citizenry in?
I want to say it's long enough for them to be entrenched already,
Yeah.
where the rules are starting to change, but not so long that people have all like given up.
Yeah.
Just given up.
Yeah, like each of us can remember a time before.
There's still
How
there's
long
still
was the
the
time
other.
jump in Dragon Age 2 between the three acts? It was like a year, right?
I think it was like 5 and 1 year or something.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it was get to the city, you work for either gang for a year, and then you go to the deep... Spoilers for Dragon Age 2, a game that is like at least 10 years
Decade old.
Yeah. Also the best Dragon Age game, don't at me. It's... And then you do the Deep Roads Expedition, and it's like 5 years or something. And then it's like another couple years after that. I think the entire game spans a decade. Damn it, Michael.
Sorry, Chris.
So yeah, I mean, like, was it like a sneaky armed forces? Like, how did this? Yeah, how did the conquest occur?
I don't think I want it to be sneaky.
Okay.
Corrupting a certain faction to open the gates, sure.
Can I offer a possibility that's ridiculous? They paid our peasants better and they stopped feeding us.
Oh, nice.
They used
Well, I mean, that's-
market forces to starve the city, right?
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, that doesn't lead to occupation. Like that can end a siege.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And also, like, if you're starving the citizenry, like, that's enough time for them to like get out a message.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I
you
mean,
bribe the guards or whatever, or the people who are the citizens, or the people that aren't citizens that have to do something in order to, to get into the keep or the castle or whatever. and literally abduct the seat of power. You cart off the rightful heir or whatever, and you plop yourself down on the throne.
You install your own vizier.
Yeah. Yeah, if this is long enough, one of us could play the rightful heir too. Like one of us could be the
Yeah, the
noble-born
heir in exile.
hostage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hostage is a
The
life
heir
path
born.
you can take.
It is. You can be a hostage.
You can have spent time as a hostage. That can be in your history.
I imagine that if you've spent time as a hostage, it's in your history.
Yeah. So I mean, like, nationalist capitalist, and I'm thinking like either blunt or like, yeah. If they
Like,
didn't,
yeah.
if they didn't knock down any doors, I don't know if they're like direct. Like it sounds like it wasn't just overwhelming military force. They shattered a wall and marched in.
No, it sounds like they corrupted their way in.
They're
Like-
exploitative.
Yeah.
They're more exploitative than we were.
Or at least better at it, yeah. Better at exploitation. It's the monocles. It allows them to see things to exploit better.
It allows them to look through their sights better, which they also have sights on their guns.
Which is
I
how
love the
they-
idea. I love the idea that they don't have a full sight. Like they have a half scope. They just have a lens down at one end of the gun, right? And the monocle is the other one.
Yeah. Okay. What
So
are
you mentioned this trading company thing, and now I'm super into it. Like I'm trying to figure out like what the trading company way of taking over would be, and that's not like, yeah, like that could totally just be something like they bribed, you know, they bought out the guard, right? They paid their way in, and like
is their trading
well-
company a state organ? Like, is it actually like a crown corporation? Like,
Well, yeah. I mean, I like the idea that it is like the sort of like the diplomatic wing or whatever. This is the way that we conduct this operation, whether you want to call it war or diplomacy or what, right? But I also now like the idea that they haven't officially taken over, right? Like they're just here. They own a bunch of the city, and a bunch of people are on their payroll and like
It's
getting
just a hostile
kickbacks.
takeover.
Yeah, but they haven't actually replaced the monarchy and they're getting like favorable deals and laws and things made for them, but they're not like hard cooing.
I think
The-
they like out and out occupy. Like, they have control. It's just whether
Yeah.
it's de facto or de jure.
Mhm. Well, yeah, it's not like
Oh.
the monarchy is still in place, right?
if the monarchy is still in place, they've been totally like coddled, right? Like they get outside, you know, whatever, like kickbacks or silks, or like they're distracted with like fox hunting. Like they're never actually in the palace.
Well, there's
I know
probably
that-
a couple that are. Like, I imagine at least. I'm imagining at least one of the members of the ruling family is like competent. Competent and like gives a shit about being prideful, violent, and a traditionalist.
Mm-hmm.
And they just don't have anything to like. They have no purchase anymore.
So frustrated by the whole situation. Well, their brothers and sisters or daughters and sons or whatever
The aunt
are.
or something.
Yeah, they're all doing whatever the Ashen Empire equivalent was like of like getting in their Lamborghini and going to the golf course and like just chilling out, being super rich and not giving a crap about anybody else. And it might not be that the competent person's actually a good person or somebody we want in charge because they're traditionalist and violent and, you know, but like they have some sort of feeling of filial responsibility to this thing, whereas no one else does.
Is it noblesse oblige? Or however you
Basically.
pronounce that?
Noblesse oblige, yeah. Or noblesse oblige. If you decide not to put
Oblige.
the accent on the last E.
I don't know. It's French. You'd have to ask Canadian.
God damn it. Tabernacle, Mike, Jiderson Berard. Okay. How about the like the local people who are not from the city?
Well, I mean, they're either oppressed or emboldened, right? So presumably, if this group that came in has made things better for the outsiders, then they're emboldened,
Mhm.
right? And if things were not great before, then the answer is, and that seems like what's
I kind of feel like it. They just the occupiers don't care about them.
Yeah. Which,
They're
like,
not around to. Yeah, sorry.
a benign neglect is preferable to oppression.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just like it's just like a beaten down people.
I'm thinking, like, just because, like the weird old witch of the mountains idea, I'm thinking, like, maybe even just weird or strange is, like, one of their traits.
I like the idea that because some of the laws have changed to allow these outsiders into power, right? They have like sort of accidentally maybe made life better for some of the people down here. Like maybe they now have a tiny amount of social mobility
Oh, yeah.
that they didn't have before, and it's completely unintentional. They didn't mean to do that, but just like the way they got the laws changed in order to allow themselves to assume positions of power also made it slightly more possible for the peasantry to elevate themselves.
Yeah.
And some of them are like lauding these people as heroes because of it, and some of them are still just like super skeptical about literally everyone.
Yeah. Anyone who is not one of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there's probably also resentment towards these people that are coming in and taking what they've never been able to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, that might be a faction too.
Meet the new boss.
Yeah.
same as the old boss.
So they're strange. They're... Is it, like, downtrodden? Just generally speaking, like, they're just all a little... Like, any given villager you run into is just, like, a little beaten down by life. Or...
They have the one line that they say, and they keep on saying it over and over again.
I am error.
Are they? Is downtrodden like the right thing? They've been, yeah, things have sucked for them, and the things are a little bit better now, though, right?
So maybe it's, like, resilient? Because things have sucked for them for a long time. Like, it's a cultural trait sort of thing, right? Like, they're all a little strange.
I think strange and resilient go together well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing that we can do is we can just come up with, like, a physical attribute, like, short. Like, are they just a bunch of, like, not tall, weird mountain folk who have just, like, because nutrition is less good out in the hills?
Oh God, yeah. So none of them have like, they all have like the same weird hair color, and it's because they lack specific vitamins or something like that.
Yeah, so, like, they're blonde, or, like, it's... I mean, this is a D&D world, so, like, they're all purple-haired or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just to contrast violent, they can be violet.
Well, the British have to be the Reds, right? So this has to be like, yeah, we have red and violet, so now we need blue or something.
Cyan.
Just-
Indigo. Let's go
I mean,
down.
they could be French, right? And the French could be, instead of majority human, they could be majority Awana or
Oh. I was like, what the hell is he? Oh, yeah, the Juana, yeah.
what are the typical races in
Orlin?
Wheel?
The typical are, like, your Tolkien species. Also, great wolves, like, 8-foot at the shoulder wolves, are a playable species.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like 6 total playable species. One was a giant dog.
Yeah. Wolf.
Wolf.
As distinct
And
from
new
dog.
elf, right? Maybe. Like for some reason I associate the French with elves, but like
Even after Zevran?
non-traditionalist elves.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we played elves. I mean, everything in the D&D campaign was fairly human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in terms of like fantasy generic. Like the species weren't super distinct. Dwarves had their tags and minecart races, but otherwise,
And
I
donkeys.
feel, I feel like, I
Goats.
mean, based purely on like what's in the book, if we're making these folks, are we talking about at this point, are we talking about the peasantry?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the outsiders.
Yeah, because if we're talking about like the capitalists that came in, like capitalist nationalists, that sounds like a greed attribute to me. That sounds like we're talking about dwarves on ships, um, with monocles and top hats. It'd be adorable.
I mean, yeah, like we could have like and that could have stoked the fires of resentment further, right? If there was this was a human enclave being run by the human prince of Switzerland, right? That was dwarven territory, and then the dwarves came and took it back, like low key or high key, however you want to phrase that. And then the elves in the west want to come take it back, and the humans in the east want to come or want to liberate it. Then that sounds pretty interesting.
Here's the really fun
Racial.
question. Here's the really fun question, though. If the dwarves are coming to take it back, right? Does that mean that the dwarves were here before?
Yeah,
So this is like this whole thing is built on top of what used to be dwarf country. Either dwarven tag or like
at some
built.
point in the past, it was discovered that this place had saltpeter and charcoal or whatever the components for gunpowder, right?
Mhm.
And it was nationalized and seeded with people loyal to the crown, more loyal to the crown.
Did they take it from the dwarves, or were the dwarves already gone?
I don't know if like I don't think it was a direct taking so much as just like demographics shifted and maybe the crown had its thumb on the scale.
See, so here's what I'm thinking, right? What if the peasantry is like dwarfesque? What if they're like some of the most direct remnants of the original population that were like they're not actually dwarves, they're humans, but like legend has it they are descended from the original, and that's part of why they resent everything so much, because that used to be ours. And when the dwarfs came back over the ocean, they're like, yes, dwarf bros. And then, no, nobody's actually looking out for you, dwarfs. Non-dwarfs, rather.
So the fact that we keep coming back to like occupiers in stereotypical capitalist garb, especially monocles keep coming up. Are the occupiers just like more likely to be short-sighted?
Ooh, just straight up short-sighted. I like that
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because that's got layers.
Well, and
It's
like
an
that's
onion.
well, and that's also like how you can like tell an occupier, right? They're wearing glasses. And maybe people from the city culture like could probably stand to put up some lenses in front of their eyes, but they're too prideful and traditionalist.
Well, also, our guns aren't accurate enough for it to really matter. So,
Yeah. I don't need to
rely on
hit
volume
you
instead.
if I'm hitting like if I'm sending, a solid explosive in your general vicinity.
mhm.
Okay, so we've been occupied by a duke or duchess from one province over. The local city cultural traits I've got are prideful, violent, and traditionalist. I've got the villager outsider traits of strange, resilient, and short. And then I've got the occupier cultural traits of nationalistic, capitalist, and short-sighted. Okay.
Okay.
That this seems like a setting that is ripe for some drama.
Are we, in terms of setting this on fire and kicking it down a hill?
Mhm.
Do we change this status quo then, or are we considering this to have been a changed status quo?
I think this has changed. If we want to kick it, like if we want to like further disturb this status quo? I mean, this seems like enough.
What? Yeah. What if they're just now launching the hard coup?
Oh, okay. Yeah, like this
I'm
is
just
they've
spitballing.
they've lobbied the crown to make the occupation an official thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or I mean, do they even lobby a crown at that point?
I don't know. I mean, that's the question, right? Like maybe they have. Maybe most of the royal families like okay being like pushed aside and then like kept as like purse dogs or whatever
Mhm.
for a while here. But yeah, I don't know how that looks. I do think it definitely turns up the heat on our previously established nationalists excitable royalty member here
Yeah.
in a significant way.
Yeah.
Well, that's an excellent patron then, if we are looking for one.
Yeah, the two NPCs who sort of carved out already are both very interesting people to be like working with.
Mm-hmm.
I heard some air quotes.
Mm-hmm. All I want's my bag of fingers. That's it.
What's the like resources cost on a bag
I
of
don't know.
fingers?
I don't know. All I know is there's a religious in the religious life path area, right?
Yep.
There's somebody, I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but it's like this person takes care of artifacts. They have
Oh, like
artifacts.
the person who runs
Artificer?
Reliquary.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, okay, I can do that. Custodian.
There you go. Yeah.
Custodian. Like, I'll be the custodian of the bag of magical fingers.
You can tell how powerful it was by how much flesh is left on the bow.
Or there's like a notch cut into it every time they're raised, like into the
Oh.
bone that's sticking out.
Yeah. So it's going to be fun when you get resurrected.
I mean, we take the finger off first, right?
Yeah.
Then we cut the notch.
Yeah, that's the first thing that happens when you come back is you remove the finger and replace it in the sack.
Yeah, because Yorha,
Cutters.
yeah, Yorha was in like a clay tube or something like that. Like I imagine,
Yeah.
like over the course of the Order of Saint Rona, they probably had differing methods. Like the first one was like wrapped in cloth and tied, and then they're like, "That's getting blood everywhere. We need to fix that." And then we moved on to like clay pots, and then glass vials, and
Then just
some of them are like
bag.
really ornate metal tubes.
Awesome.
Welcome to that that fingerbone podcast.
I feel like it better if you had like a bandolier of fingers.
Just pulling off.
That's very The Witcher.
Yorha, I choose you.
Yeah. Well, and, like invariably, like whomever you raise, like comes into the world upside down, naked and screaming, right?
Uh-huh.
That's exactly the way you want barbarians.
Yeah, upside down, naked and screaming.
Jordan over in chat, finger guns.
There you go.
Yes, please.
That's why they're smoothbore.
Yes, please.
Just get a good sabot packed around the finger, and yeah, the sabot is like holy parchment, like prayers that activate when burned.
Yeah, you can
Oh.
see it takes off and does like the text burning thing as it exits the barrel. You can see like the fingers start growing flesh on the way in, and then by the time it lands, it's just a barbarian fist.
So here's a question I have about that, because this is the exact kind of nerd I am. What does that do for the conservation of energy?
Well, I mean, if you figure, like, let's think about like
Is the rest of the barbarian moving at the same speed as like the cannonball finger, or as
Yeah, well, I think
as they
It is
grow,
now.
does that like rob it? Like, is there conservation of momentum, or is there conservation of velocity?
I think there's conservation of either momentum or kinetic energy, right? Because as you move out, the barbarian gets bigger. So if you got a muzzle 300 miles an hour, right? Then you're still landing that punch at a significant velocity, right? With a whole barbarian behind it.
That seems like a gun from Serious Sam.
Yeah. Yeah, a gun that shoots fists.
Yeah.
We
This
well
fully
and
becomes a screaming Sam. Ah, boom.
we well and truly went into the weeds there. I think this like 90 minutes has been a very good elevator pitch of our podcast. Also,
Yeah.
can you imagine a 90-minute elevator ride? Because I've also played Mass Effect 1.
Do you guys want to take a quick break to restroom and fill up water bottles and stuff?
Yeah, and then I mean,
Sure.
I honestly like we might be done session 0. If
Okay.
any, and then if we want to like discuss character ideas and pitches and sort of bounce ideas off each other, we can do that when we come back.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sounds
sure.
good.
Cool. All right, so we'll be like 5 minutes ish, and yeah, stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, and we're back. Hope everybody had an enjoyable roughly 5 minutes. I know I sure did. That's a weird segue, but yeah, I've popped us over to a Roll20 view, so people playing at home can see all the useless notes I've taken, because I'm not very good at taking notes.
There's one there.
There we go. But yeah, I've got my own to-do list, which is name this city, name the invading province, probably name the capital city of the invading province, and name 2 foreign powers and trading partners. And I am always open to suggestions for names because names are hard. But less interesting than me naming a bunch of things are coming up with sort of rough character pitches, and then I'm happy to help. Check the tome or otherwise help flesh out pitches and ideas.
Would this place be named? Would we have kept the original dwarven name, or would it have been renamed?
There are absolutely people who know it and use it. I think it probably has a bunch of different names because, like, one of the things we did sort of respect in 5e was the fact that the different species all had their own languages. So it probably has, like, different names in different languages, but they're all sort of synonymous.
Okay.
So now I have to name everything like 3 or 4 times. Thanks.
Way better.
Yeah.
Way better than it was before.
Well, like the Elven one is going to be just like, the intersection of 2 rivers in like, yeah.
String of words that stretches.
Yeah. Where the sun touches on the zenith of blah, 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 and the 2 rivers dance around each other by moonlight or whatever, right?
Sun and the moon. We worked them both in that time. It was good.
Mm-hmm. And then the Dwarven one, I'm honestly probably going to poke Jordan and be just like, give me Norse shit. Because I know you've been preparing this.
Cannonburg is good.
Cannonburg is... I'm putting it down.
Is it canon now?
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have cannons when we were founded.
They do now.
Grew into cannons.
The thing I like about Cannonburg is that it works 2 ways because there's cannons, and then there's like the prayers we say over the cannons, which are cannons.
I'm just gonna
puns.
I'm just gonna quickly dig into like the Spanish word for iron.
Is it Pharaoh or Ferris or something?
El Fierro, it looks like.
That's the iron.
Yeah.
El Fierro.
Yeah.
Spanish for bat poop.
Guano.
Probably.
Pretty sure that's where that word came from. I'd be really surprised if some gringo came up with the word guano. What are the other words for saltpeter? I know there's a few good ones. Let's call the place potassium nitrate.
And the invading forces are from God damn it, what's the Nope, it's gone. I've forgotten my chemistry. Sodium bicarbonate, there we go.
Okay.
I do all my shopping at the sodium bicarbonate.
It's my favorite shop on the Citadel.
Neutron. Like that. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was gonna ask for pitches while I bump my brain against. Just
So
because
do we kind of want to
Yeah.
rough out whether we're going to be in antagonistic or cooperative roles?
Yeah,
Yeah, we should probably talk about that.
that is a good point.
I honestly think that for the first time at bat, we should probably not be working directly against each other at the very least. At least not intentionally. Right? We should at least have parallel things to do
Yeah. Like
instead of
same ultimate goal, but maybe have different people in power at the end.
yeah, like help overthrow the capitalist dwarves, but like all good coups, the devil's in the details.
I've got good coups and bad coups.
I guess there's successful coups and unsuccessful. LeConte.
You're getting real close to being censored.
It's a good thing we
You are
flag our.
Kant.
Sorry, LeConte was apparently a person who worked with saltpeter.
Ooh. Actual Factual, who is a friend of the pod, Andrew, we had them on for an interview a little while ago. The Valley of Echoes or the Echoing Valley, and I really like that.
Those
Yeah.
are really good, yeah.
Just because, like, yeah, gunfire in a valley.
Black Powder Valley and Black Ridge are also strong too.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, it can have a bunch of different names, right?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to. I mean, I'm not going to really be that, nitpicking about the name, but when were we founded? Were we founded prior to the birth of firearms?
I mean, I think the name's probably gone under overhauls. No, like this town was annexed after the birth of firearms,
Yeah.
so like it was probably called something else before, like Burn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what did the dwarves use it for?
I honestly think mostly just for living in,
Alright, so this was just like Northtown?
or like homestead or something, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like Mountain
Valleyville,
Home, Valley Home.
Monument Valley.
I mean, are there a bunch of dwarven carvings and
Oh, not anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah,
but were there before we used our cannons on them?
as target practice, I mean, that would be very much.
Like, are there like half
What else did we
dwarven
do?
faces still sticking out of the mountain that we haven't
without
successfully hit through the
bruises.
Yeah, exactly.
Fascinating.
So, Thundering Valley for human. I've got Echoing Valley for elf. And then the Shattered Tig for dwarves.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, they'll all have their own relationship to this place, right?
Blast-Heath. Blast-Heath is pretty good too.
Yep.
Um,
Because, I mean, there will be some dwarves for whom this was an improvement, right?
yeah. Well, yeah. So, yeah, they have renamed it. Like, is that a dwarven tradition where like they take the place back, they reforge the axe, they rename the town? So it's got two different names.
Depending
one and
on
the old
your
one.
relationship to it.
Yeah. Some of the dwarves might be old enough that they were here the first time around.
Yeah.
Oh.
But, Mike, you said you had an idea for someone you wanted to play earlier. Actually, I mean, we haven't decided if we... So everybody wants to sort of be moving, if not at the same location, at least somewhat in parallel. It sounds
Sure.
like.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Blast-Heath. Oh, nice. You got it. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't think that where this person comes from necessarily is indicative of where they're going to go. But I did like the idea of the loyalist, of playing like the loyalist agent,
Okay. Yep.
or an agent of the loyalists.
Yeah, would you be working with the so far unestablished, other than mildly violent / super nationalist traditionalist family member?
I mean, I think that the my damn it, ultimate loyalty would be to the prince, and whether or not this ultranationalist family member was fit to retake control would be part of the thing that I was evaluating.
Okay. Yeah, I think I
Maybe
can
not-
pull that
maybe
character in
not.
interesting directions.
Yeah, like maybe not overtly, but covertly at the very least.
Characters Andrew should burn. Royal lady who has had it up to here with this occupation. Foppish royal who likes shiny money. Cool. Okay, so an agent of the like government in exile, or so I mean, is what is the texture of the royal family? Like, are some of them are butt off, some of them are indignant about the occupation, but like, sort of what's
Oh no, I don't think I'm from the royal family. I think I'm from outside
Mhm.
to the east. Oh, so wait, what's the texture of the royal family? That was a question.
Yeah. Like, well, because I mean, this is a thing that is most relevant to you, so I'm giving you some ability to embroider here.
I think that I liked what we talked about earlier about how they have been, convinced to abdicate the majority of their power, not out of. They've compromised their loyalty for comfort and money, right?
Okay.
At least significance portion of them should be seen as not a heretic per se, but like abandoning their duty
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to give a compelling argument against reseating them
Yep.
if they're annexed from the kingdom.
This might be like 2 campaigns that I get to have someone spray paint on a wall Liberté, Égalité, Sororité.
No, thank you, camera, for fixing it.
Cool.
And then like for some reason I just automatically assumed that the French elves were a republic, but I have no idea if that's true. So
There is definitely like a republic that is eyeing this strategic foothold and licking its metaphorical lips.
I just realized how sad the French elf Republicans have to be about how many nobles they killed. They remember them all, and they're very sad. The elven emotional trait is sorrow.
Is it sorrow turns into grief or something like
grief.
that?
Yeah. Something, one of those two things, right? So they're sad about how the world's turning out all the time.
Yeah.
And so like they've formed a republic, but now they're very sad about what they had to do that to get to this point.
okay, so we've got, and I do like the aunt. The aunt is the one that's like the only one that's remained true to the city,
Okay.
the ideals of the valley of Blast-Heath.
I think Blast-Heath is its latest name.
Yeah. So she's Thundering Valley. She would call it considered to be Thundering Valley.
Yeah.
The
So yeah, I don't have like a name for her or anything, but like
But like your highest loyalty is to like upon whomever's had the local like authority rests. At least as you begin.
right. All right, and like she should definitely have had like, not saying Tears of Cassandra, but like that sort of like, no one listened to me. I warned you all away from this, and now our power is eroded.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and our peasants are flung to the winds, and you know, our tax chest is empty.
Well, and like our self determination is gone, and like that's
Right.
what we held. Sort of
Us
closest to
violent
us.
loyalists. Yeah.
What kinds of magic exist in this world? Like, are we going full D&D? Like, there is art magic, like there's sorcery in the world. Is there spirit binding, which is like things have spirits? It's kind of it's honestly kind of like almost Warhammery in the like machines have a spirit, and so like that giant cannon that's like the Emperor's, like Ash's judgment or whatever, definitely has like a big ass spirit. Are we playing with faith as well? Like, are there actual priests who work literal miracles?
I have no idea if this fits in any way, shape, or form. It's just a brainworm that I got. But as things take lives, they gain spirit.
Okay. Like, as people become invested in them?
I meant as they kill.
Oh, okay. That's
Oh.
very D&D. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's really indie.
I'm just going to shout out another show that I really like, and I shout them out a bunch because not enough people seem to watch them. But Loading Ready Run does a stream every Monday at 5 Pacific called Dice Friends, and a person of whom I am a fan did a D&D campaign of their own creation, which was basically a party of 4 paladins in a world that has like gone wrong in some way. And one of the things that he sort of wanted to interrogate in D&D is the fact of that setting where murder is a way to become literally powerful. And like this person who saw an apocalypse coming effectively murdered an entire capital city of people and thus propelled themselves to a sort of godhood. And just like that was a really cool campaign. That one is Burning Bright, which was I believe just a 2-shot. So it's not too long to look up, and it was really interesting. And I enjoyed what they did with that. And that also just what you said there, Mike, just reminded me of that.
Yeah, I for some reason the idea of the things becoming alive or less like less toolish.
Yeah.
And more,
or I mean, more toolish, right? Like the cannon performs better after recently taking lives.
Oh wow, that's dark. I was thinking the other way around. Like that, like you have to chant it to sleep.
Oh yeah,
to kill again.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, or maybe like if it's been sleeping too long, it takes longer to rouse.
Yeah.
What if the chants that they do over the cannons aren't to put them to sleep, it's to draw that energy out of them, and there's just a giant battery of some sort somewhere that holds all of the dead things.
I like the idea that it's like somehow intrinsic to the thing.
Okay.
Like, I mean, it's not the cannonball that gets stronger, it's the cannon.
Yeah.
That might be why we haven't switched to rifling or something. Maybe we lose something.
Oh.
We discovered a secret at some point. We discovered a technology at some point that let us harness this ability.
Or just
Like going any further would ruin it or something.
or just through the scientific method determined it exists,
Yeah.
and just like older things do better, and it's not just here.
It's not just here, so we just like quietly not tell anyone about that.
Yeah.
But everybody else has been upgrading technology constantly, right? So we're the only
Except for the
people.
dwarves.
Mhm. We're the only people with guns big enough and old enough to be materially benefiting from this thing, right?
Oh god.
Okay, so spirit binding is a thing.
Yeah, neat.
I love that like this is somehow justified the like vaguely Luddite traditionalist behavior of the city, but also like it doesn't matter and it hasn't saved you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't a,
But, like-
martial conquest.
This whole pattern of thing is also a thing
I was looking at building a doctor, and I'm like, my scalpels, they're so strong.
They've been handed down for generations.
Or you're just that shitty of a doctor.
No, well,
Yeah.
yeah. How many people have died on this table? This table
Right.
is now like, I can ride this through a nuclear blast.
That's very
You're
Indiana
like-
Jones.
But like, think how fast you get better as a doctor then. You can stop accidentally killing people.
Jesus, this is mildly horrifying.
But then the knives get hungry again. So they sap your ability to be a doctor.
Yeah. Oh, and like you have fucked up dreams where it's like our wisdom drips so sweet, why are you starving us? And then you just like bolt upright in your bed. You have this ancestral jar of leeches.
Oh god, and it's just like two leeches, but they'll never die, and they keep getting bigger, and now they're getting like spines.
They've breached containment.
Created a Zerg. Good job.
Entirely.
God, what
They're
the
like-
fuck is a dire leech?
I don't know. There are
Dire
sentient
leech.
pits in goblin tags now. You realize that now, right?
Yeah.
Like there's spike traps that have like thoughts and things because they've leveled up
Ambitions.
so hard. Yeah. Oh. Oh, okay.
I love and hate this universe.
This is not okay on a fairly deep level. Because like, does this mean the rot is just like
Well, it's not
mildew
from
that
here.
killed somebody?
It's not from here. It's from a different plane, right?
Yeah.
But maybe the rules of this plane extend to the rot when it's here, and that's why it learned tactics and mixed unit siege. That's really good. That's really good.
Oh, but the rod is new.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why the rot keeps coming here because it's grinding.
It's better.
Jeez.
The
That-
rot
that
spends
is-
time in the lane of this plane, so it can go back to its plane in Solo Dragon.
That is like part of the idea. One of the ideas that I soft pitched. I don't know if I shared that with you, but it's over here grinding experience.
That's really good. That's fucked up, and I love it.
Oh.
I also just realized that because I've set this in the 5e universe, it's connected to the Disneyverse, Mike.
Yeah.
Thanks, I hate it.
Tune in Thursday to see if we figure out how to make this every game connected in the same place.
Seriously. Great. Okay. So yeah, your spy. It sounds like you're going for like or agent of the. What is it like? Agent of the Duke?
Prince, I think.
Okay.
So-
like the whole, they're not actually princes. They're just control territory, chunks of territory. Not as
So I'll
much.
just pitch this for you, Mike. But so since there's the royal family has more than one branch, obviously, if this aunt exists, separate from the whatever the immediate royal family line is. What if each line is sort of known for controlling a certain area? So like maybe the aunt's side would actually have been in charge of the spy like family. So you might have like the shadow hand is this bloodline or this line of family, or like the first woman or the first girl child of the princes takes over as
This
the
is
Shadow
fine,
Queen or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the Bene Gesserit.
Yeah.
Shit. Yep. Yep. They're Bene Gesserit. Cool.
I'm not saying it's bad. I love the idea. Like, I'm not trying to. Yeah.
So they have the weirding way.
so she's competent, but she's completely unable to take power because of the laws of the land say that the shadow hand can never seize control because
Yeah.
of whatever.
Because it's the shadow hand, right? It's the
Yeah.
left hand.
They must stay in the shadow.
Right.
Oh, and like, is that like written down law, or is that just like the unwritten rules of etiquette that for some reason she's still respecting?
It can never be written down, so she must be the latter.
Yeah.
I mean, or it's just literally impossible for her to do for some reason.
Yeah. Or
That's
she's
related.
she's not
Yeah.
interested in actually leading, but she's interested in having her family exert controls again.
For layabout children.
Yeah, one of her layabout nieces or nephews needs to get off their tuchus and go rule this city again.
I mean, this is a royal family. There's probably a lot of inbreeding. Maybe her kids are married into one of the
I-
cousins.
So the way I think this like occupation gets solidified is going to be like a political marriage. Like I think that's what like signs the deed, dries the ink, etc. Like that's
And that just happened, is what we're saying at the start of the campaign?
yeah.
Or is it more interesting for it to be about to be happened in a week? So if people want to,
Intercede in some way.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it just happened,
okay.
and then it's like, oh, what do we do now? And like, how do you get it back when the ship has left the harbor? Like, how do you get back control? And maybe someone will come to like relieve you of duty and collect all your notes. And like, what does that look like if you're still a loyalist?
Mm. So I'm the scribe of the aunt, and now yeah, cool. Scribe, right?
Yeah.
Bard.
Yeah, no, you take her notes and you read back dictations, and I mean, I don't know if you're gonna have the knife skill or not. You tell me.
Right.
And Zach, you're thinking of a medical professional?
I don't know. I have a lot of ideas that I'm kind of sort of putting in place here.
Okay.
I don't know, this doctor idea sounded pretty good.
Well, so my original idea for the doctor was actually.
Oh, I know.
Oh, do
I
you?
too,
Okay.
I too read chat.
See, but the original idea for the doctor would be a midwife for the royal family. The idea was like I was going to be midwife was going to be my third life path, and then my last life path was desperate killer, and I was going to be like on the run with a baby.
Yep.
That's
very Jade Empire.
Yes. Yeah, the other option is like court doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Who is either vaguely in on this or not, and also like I could go be the acolyte of the crazy old lady or the wild old lady of the woods there.
Or I mean, maybe she has taken students and you're one of those.
Yeah, maybe I'm the one student that like impressed her. Like I made it through her like Yoda routine to actually get instructed somehow, and I'm the only one that ever did. So I've got things I'm thinking about. Also, like the idea of playing like just a peasant conscript that's done with this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Also sounds like fun. Or yeah, one of the people taking advantage of like the newly liberalized mercantilism laws to try to make a fortune and probably fail miserably. All of these seem like fun. Not sure. Not sure what I'm thinking about. So, Adam, do you have ideas?
I don't really have a lot of ideas. The first thing that came to mind was being a former citizen merchant
Okay.
fighting the economic war.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's like guildmaster like level or someone younger.
I mean, you can probably get to like,
You can get to Magnate on 4 life paths. You can
Yeah.
have a significant amount of resources available. Yeah.
Magnate would be like you own like a forge in town and not a small one, or maybe several.
Yeah. The character I burned a long time ago that I was sort of taunting Andrew with, that had 160 available resources and was rolling 10 dice when he tried to buy things. That was a Magnate. You could probably raise a pretty solid peasant rebellion with that kind of money.
Okay. So yeah, that's where my first train of thought went. I didn't have any other really good ideas.
Yeah, if you were like, have you lost your place then? Like, are you playing somebody who's been forced out of their position, or are you raging against the huge taxes you now have to pay and the sweetheart deals that are gone?
Yeah, I think I think you probably had enough. It was probably an older family that's been a citizen, family for a long period of time, and they're struggling to stay open on, in their traditional storefront, or their whatever their place of business was. But the new guard is basically, to them, unfairly taxing them to maintain that.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. So one of the other ideas that I had, and it now occurs to me that it could be fairly interesting in this specific setting, was a vintner.
Mm-hmm.
Was
A what?
a rebellious vintner.
Vintner?
A mixed wine.
Winemaker.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
if the dwarves have taken over the city, they may not drink my wine anymore. This may make me unhappy.
It
And
may crush your
perhaps
spirits.
It may. So maybe maybe I marched through Adam's family shops, and the two of us are now in this like messed up. We're both reeling from this and unhappy about the situation, and we are going to concoct some sort of terrible plan that involves wine and probably poison and probably the royal family.
Well, and like maybe there's some agent who's gets wind of it, right? So
Yep.
is that the thing? So another way of sort of kicking the status quo down the hill is there was a plan to poison a bunch of wine at a political marriage, and either it worked or it didn't.
Either it worked or it didn't. Yes.
I mean, both of those are pretty ticking down the hill.
Mm-hmm.
It's solid for sure. Let me check my notes here. Yeah, like, are we currently dealing with the fallout of having failed?
Or succeeded?
Yeah.
How do I get to Bednar?
Do we even know yet? The palace could be on lockdown for whatever reason, and we just don't have information yet. That's how far we are past the event.
Because I don't want to say like this is a thing that we build up to. I want like a big event has just transpired and it's like the three of us are wanted in this city and we're gonna have to hide and like maybe clear our names, or we failed and the like occupiers are cracking down and we can organize the peasantry, but like yeah.
Maybe it was only like a partial success.
Mm-hmm.
We were hoping for, widespread, or do we want a targeted poisoning or just kill everyone at the party kind of poisoning?
How mad are we?
Well, and I mean like
Were we trying to target the groom,
or
who
is
was like from the occupying force, but we accidentally got the bride?
yeah. Oh yeah. You accidentally got the
Oh.
local and not the occupier.
Right.
So I mean, like, was Mike's character in on the plan?
He's got the raw glass.
Like,
Yeah,
I
then
think,
Mike-
I
yeah,
think, like,
Mike
Don't put this on me.
are the three of you a conspiracy, or is this something that because like if the three of you want to be vaguely aligned and moving in the same direction, like, is that a thing? I think is a thing that we should set up beforehand.
Yeah, I'm in.
So like,
Yeah,
yeah,
my family could very easily have ties. I mean, we're not nobles, but we have a long-standing family, so we probably have some ties to family to where they, could have had the shadow hand could have interacted with the family in the past for whatever reason.
yeah. Oh, they've probably used poison before.
Yeah.
Maybe Mike needs ranks and poisoner.
Oh no, don't worry. I made it. I made it to poisoner.
Okay.
It's because I'm sitting here. I'm messing with this character burner app, right? And so it's a very specific path, and I'm doing poisoner second, so I'm like 12,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Good.
But then from that, I can go right back to making it's fun. So seems above board, is what I'm saying.
How old were these, the bride and groom? Like, I'm imagining not adults in conventional terms yet.
Okay, so is the occupier that's marrying in the wedding, are they a dwarf?
I think so.
All right. I mean, the dwarf could be an old dwarf. I mean, it could be just a dwarf and be old for people terms too, right?
Yeah.
Like we could have considered him to have, or we could just have considered this person to have lived a long and productive life and be a worthy sacrifice for our needs, right?
Now I'm trying to imagine what gets stronger as poisoning occurs.
A wine.
Or, like, I mean, the spirits
The
of your
vial
wine.
that was used.
Well, I'm thinking, like, maybe because this is, like it's a coward's tool, or, like, it's not a direct, blunt instrument that, like, maybe it doesn't. Like, maybe some vital force is lost because this is, like, a perversion of nature or something.
Well, maybe that creates something that gets stronger. Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like, at that point, it's, yeah, like, badness gets stronger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not only did we poison a wedding party, made a demon. We made a demon, basically.
Or just some kind of, yeah, spirit of poison.
I'm in. So in.
Poison.
That's basically the rot.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that may exist in this game, mechanically, is corruption, which is definitely in the setting rot. Like 110%, you make a deal with corruption, you are becoming rotten. Okay, so Adam's the magnate on the outs, and we've got Zach the vintner.
So what was your family make like? What was your fortune built on?
I want to say we're probably like the I don't know if general goods are is like just the store that everybody goes to for, your general purpose.
The original big box store is an answer.
Yeah, like we're the first Walmart of. No, I don't know if making it specialized is less interesting.
I mean, it probably just informs some of the skills or wises that you take.
Oh, I see.
Like if there's a specific thing that like your family does, you probably are knowledgeable about it. Whereas like if you just, buy low and sell high, then that's going to be a different set of wises. So like, are you like maybe you would actually fit in really well with the capitalist thing if they hadn't have like kicked you to the curb, right? Which is kind of yeah.
The Wolf of Wall Street here and just got kicked out. Yeah, nothing really stands out that I'd want to run with.
Okay. All right. I think we've got sort of a direction that all of us are moving in.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. How are we integrating? Mike, we decided we're all part of the same conspiracy?
Yeah, I think that I was like the inside person on
The boots on the ground.
yeah. And like this was I guess I had no compunction with poisoning a bunch of people, so
Oh yeah,
that informs my character.
it sounds like it was a targeted individual. Like it was just supposed to be the groom.
And they switch classes.
It's gonna be like what happened was the groom was just like, oh, where we come from, like we do the like you cross arms and pour into the other person's mouth thing, and like like there's the like quick cut to you in the corner just being like, "Grr."
And I failed my wine tasting wise roll.
It's just that nobody's dwarf wise. We
Yeah.
just didn't know their marital traditions.
Yeah.
Okay. Inconspicuous. I will be taking that. Thank you.
How to hide in a crowd.
Disguise? Probably disguise, yeah.
What vintner are you?
Well,
It's
my
more
life.
of.
Yeah.
Action
life-
vintner.
Is there like
My
a
life-
like a list of life paths or something? Like,
The book has one, and then on the on that Heroku app or the Charred Heroku app thing, it'll have I mean, you can only build sort of one direction. You can't go back, but I'm happy to look up stuff if you're
Yeah.
like offline. We can hit up that because it sounds like we're sort of wrapping up now, anyways.
yeah, I think we need to play with Hero Co-op
Yeah.
to figure out what our failed coup.
I mean,
looks like.
The wedding didn't happen.
I mean, now we just need to pin it on the other guys. That's all we got to do now.
Yeah. Poisoning successful.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, your character might have different views on it than I. But
Yeah.
yes.
Which I mean, that's fun. That's texture.
Yeah, that's interesting.
in like 3 sessions, when we have a better grip of the rules, we can get into a duel of wits, and it'll be cool. Awesome. All right. Well, we've been That D&D Podcast. I'm already having a blast playing Burning Wheel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, share, subscribe. We're on a bunch of different social medias. You can find us at That D&D Podcast on basically any social media platform, and also on Patreon, where we're happy to take money from you. We also have a Twitch affiliate, so if you have Amazon Prime, you can give us some of that Bezos money, because he don't need it. Yeah. We've been That D&D Podcast. My name's Andrew Otway. Everybody else, introduce yourself at the outro, so I guess that's an outroduce.
Wow.
Adam, you go
Hi.
first.
we can go reverse order since we're doing outro. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hi, I'm Zach. I'm here a lot.
It's bye,
probably-
I'm Zach.
Bye. I'm Zach. End
Bye.
statement.
I'm Mike. Your non-capitalist thought of the week is to go prevent the apocalypse.
Bye, I've been Adam, and I know I'm a terrible person.